and I determined that I had a blood clot problem. So I called over the doctors and said, I think I have blood clots on my lungs. Can you check for that? And they gave me a special lung MRI, and they come back and they said, your lungs are covered with blood clots. Now, the fact that I told the doctor what was wrong with astrology helped, because at least it gave them something to start looking for. But then, of course, they were like, if this doesn't get better in a few days, we're going to have to crack open your rib cage and remove them surgically. So I went back to the charts and I said, no, give me 10 days. I will be over this in 10 days if you just bear with me. And 10th day in the morning, they came in and said, you're going to have to get ready for surgery. I said, okay, so we're getting ready for surgery. Boom. My lungs started working. Thank God my lungs started working before they cracked open my chest. So that's where astrology can be helpful. When you're working with your doctors, it may not understand like what's really wrong, or if you're working with a client, but you got to walk a real fine line not to like tell someone, oh, I see cancer coming in your chart. Can't do that. You can ask them questions like, do you have any family history of anything? How are you eating? I mean, you can kind of nudge clients a little bit towards things they need to be aware of, or suggest tests that they need to be getting. But for yourself, like in my case, being able to tell a doctor what's wrong with you and how long you're going to have the problem to avoid surgery. I mean, astrology to me is like life-saving, you know? Um, Now, Riki, you were telling me you've got someone that's pretty sick close to you, don't you? You still with me, Riki? Oh, she's probably on mute. Riki, are you there? Because you were telling me that you got somebody pretty sick in your circle. Oh,
Yeah,
no, I did.
sorry, I had to get off mute.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes, my
Okay.
sister.
Yeah, your sister, do you have her chart? Can you throw it up?
Sure, just a moment here.
Let's see
Should
what's
I
going
do
on with,
should I do Jandro since I don't know her time of
if you
birth?
don't know what time she's born, yeah.
Okay.
But and Jandra, I don't think we can do the progressions. I'll have to do it manually. Yeah, put up her Jandra chart and let me take a look at it.
All right, pulling it up now.
Now, mentally, you can do, if I'm looking at a Jandra chart and I don't have the progressions in front of me, um, you can mentally calculate a day for a year. What that means is like you take the age of the person and you add that number of degrees onto something in your head, and that gives you a ballpark where a progressed planet is. Like, say, for example, someone's 30 years old. And let's say, for example, their natal sun is at 10 degrees. Okay, 10 plus 30 would be 40, but there's 30 degrees in the sign, 10. So in my head, I can go, okay, her progressed sun right now is probably at about 10. So it's a good idea to know in your head sometimes, you can do mental progressions on things and kind of, or maybe you know where transits are also. So if you can't run it up on the chart, okay. Now, what do they think's wrong with her?
Well, she has heart issues that are the most severe.
Okay. Oh, why am I not surprised? Okay. Now, we're using a Jandro chart because your sister, we don't know her birth time. Now you see why I say Jandro charts are actually amazingly accurate, because guess what that means is going on. If her Jandro 8th house is 4 Aries, that means that Mars, Saturn, Neptune stellium we got going on is all in right smack on her 8th house cusp, which is, again, you saw what was on my 8th house cusp when I went into ER pretty sick.
Yeah,
So she's sick, you
yeah.
know? I mean, have they given her a diagnosis yet?
Congestive heart failure, which our mom passed away from 2 years ago.
Oh dear.
And she had
Okay.
a surgery last year that seemed to help a little bit, but
Okay. Now, we don't know her exact chart. If I really wanted to sit down and see, like, do we need to start like worrying about her affairs? I would be able to look at her through your chart. And that's what I would do is because we don't know her exact time to really know exactly what her eighth and fourth house are to worry, specifically. But
Yeah.
if anything was going to happen like that, it would show up in your chart since that's your sister. Okay. But yeah, she's
Yeah.
got a lot going. Now,
And
here's
then
the
I
good
have,
news.
go
Well, the
ahead.
good news is because this is transitory, this stellium that we have in Aries, it is transitory.
Yeah.
So that means that her situation may change very suddenly. Now, granted, Saturn's in there, Saturn's moving slowly, Neptune's moving slowly, but this tells us something. Saturn
Yeah.
means she's got a long-term problem, which we
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Neptune is there may be infections or bacteria or, you know,
Yeah.
fluid problems, like you're saying, congestive heart failure. That's the
Fluid.
Neptune, the fluid,
Yeah.
you know. Um, Aries, because it's in her heart, as you're saying, tells
Yeah.
me that it's something that can be severe and sudden because anything that's Aries, that Aries Libra axis is going to be
Yeah.
sudden.
Okay.
So she might have a day where she's fine one minute and then the next day not. There can be sudden changes. But
Yeah.
because Mars is moving so fast, Mars moves in my head, I do about a degree a day. Since Mars is moving away from the stellium, I'm going to say there's going to be some stuff getting better quickly because Mars moves quickly.
Okay.
Um,
And
Now
one of
that
the
would put
reasons,
Pluto at Aquarius. Where's Aquarius? Okay, so that's going to put the Pluto. No, that's going to put the Pluto in her fifth house. Does she have kids?
yes,
Okay, then her kids are worried to death about her, obviously,
yes, yes,
because transitory Pluto at 5 Aquarius is going to be in her fifth house, affecting the stellium. So that means the kids are obviously really, really worried about mom.
yeah,
You
yep.
know?
Well, and I've got Uranus coming up 0 degrees crossing into my eighth house. So then I'm wondering, like, is it me? Is it her? Or, it could be a million things, but it definitely is a concern.
Yeah, now we started to go through this because this to me is a common mistake I made when I was new and I used to get really frustrated, is I didn't know about the alternating houses. And I would be looking at the wrong house, okay? And that's where we talked about your sister brings an interesting thing about what house is she,
Yeah.
okay? So if you can pull up your chart for a minute, let's look at what's going on in your chart.
Okay.
Since we don't know her exact time, we're going to get a better read off your chart.
Oh, whoops. Okay.
And what I'm looking for is, yes, your third house in general is all of your siblings, okay? But we also want to know what's going on with her specifically. So
Yeah.
that would mean that your eldest sibling, the actual oldest sibling to you, would be your third house, okay? Then the sibling born after the oldest, the next oldest, would then be the fifth house. And then the sibling after that would be the seventh. So what birth order is she in with you?
Here, let me get the sharing back on real quick. It turned off.
Yeah, let's get your chart in here and see what's going on with her specifically in your chart.
Yeah.
Because again,
Um,
the eighth house could just mean surgery,
yeah.
taxes. We don't know,
Well,
you
I've
know?
definitely got taxes going on right now.
Well, there you go, right?
Um,
That's the thing about eighth houses is they do. And you know what's funny? Why they come together? Think about it. When people die, there are usually tax issues that happen.
yeah.
The wills, the estates, the probate. So there's another reason why, these houses connect the way they do.
Now we don't count step siblings, right?
Yes, you can,
Oh my
but it
gosh.
gets tricky. Let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to know the right house for a step sibling, here's what you have to do. Since they're not going to be in your natural bloodline in the chart,
Yeah.
but they will be in the parent's natural bloodline. Now, what that means is, okay, you say step. So who is it, the mother or father that's their parent, your parent?
Um,
You say step. So is that the Father or mother to you?
It's the, yeah, it's really weird, I guess. The guy who raised me, so there's really no blood.
Okay, let me put it this way. You have to take your mother's, okay, this is what you have to do. Um, if this, if is it a stepfather that's the parent of the sibling? Because I need to
Um,
know, are we working with the blood mother or the blood father to the step parent?
well, I guess it would be, see, he's not my blood anything. So I guess it would just be my half brothers and half sisters from my mother and my father. We wouldn't
Okay,
really
but
count step.
is he born of the mother or the father?
Remember, I was kidnapped, so the guy who raised me,
Oh,
and I consider those my step
okay.
siblings, aren't really my step siblings, I guess.
Okay, let me give you an example of how, okay, my daughter, you know what, that's a good point. My daughter has a half brother. So let me show you how we read that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let me see. I don't know if you can see. How do I, all right. On the chart? Nope.
Yeah, I don't have any full siblings. They're all half.
Okay. When you're doing a half sibling, a stepchild,
Yeah.
okay. Now, here's my daughter's chart. Now, naturally, yes, her brother may be the third, but you notice there's a Venus there. Okay. But the Mars is like over here. Now, let me tell you how we kind of work this. Um, I'm her mother in the chart, and her half brother's not from me. It's from her father. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the chart over to the father as the first house. All right. So
Okay.
her father in her chart, my daughter's chart this is her seventh house. So her seventh house becomes the first house of her father. So this is now her father's chart. Okay. Now it's his son, but it's not his firstborn. Okay. So this is where it gets a little tricky here. Okay. Oh, how do I do this? Trying to show you how you figure out the right house for a sibling. All right. Okay. And I'll tell you how we do this. All right. Here's her father is the seventh house, which is his first house for her father. All right. Now, his firstborn would then be the fifth, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is right here. That's his firstborn. Okay. Secondborn is here. Thirdborn is there. Okay. Then the fourth one is here. All right. Now, based on what he told me, and if I wanted to go through this chart, I can see this is true. All right. Is that he told me before we got together that two previous girlfriends of his had had abortions. So his first pregnancy would be my daughter's 11th would be his firstborn. His secondborn or second pregnancy would then be my daughter's first house. That's his second pregnancy. The third pregnancy would be here. All right. Now, what I want you to see is that there's a Venus in here. His third pregnancy was her. He had a girl. And that shows because he told me that he had, two women that had abortions before we got together. And how that came up was he locked me in the house when I told him I was pregnant. He would not let me out of the house for 2 weeks. And I'm like, why are you holding me hostage? And he said, I need to make sure you don't have an abortion. I'm like, I'm not planning on it, but that doesn't give you the right to hold me hostage. But he goes, I'm just making damn sure you don't do that. So yeah, that kicked off. As soon as he found I was pregnant, I was held hostage for 2 weeks. So that's how I knew about this.